with just 8 minutes left, we are nearing the end of our semifinals for the North American East region here at the DreamHack Open featuring Fortnite. I'm your host, Kelly Link. Joining me, of course, casting the games is Sancho West and Sundown. And we have seen some pretty high, intense action games so far. But with only 7 minutes left, these players are only going to have an opportunity to get one, maybe two more lobbies in and claim their spot at the top 100 to enter the grand finals, which will be starting in about an hour. Welcome back, chat. We're going to be chatting a little bit before we jump into game here. But I do want to talk a little bit about the top 20 leaderboard because we want to see where those top players are sitting. So let's actually pull up the leaderboard real quick to get an understanding of where these players do stand. And there we have it. Crunchy up on top with 377 points. Shark right behind him, though. In second place, we have Avery in third. Liquid Stretch in fourth. And then Nexi coming out of nowhere, sitting in fifth place.
Yeah,
tell me a little bit about...
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Kelly.
No, I was going to say, tell me about Nexi, and you just went right to it.
I was about to say, he's been playing pretty consistently as of late, somebody who's really good at making it into the end games over and over again, which when we talk about DreamHack in the FNCS format is something that's valued a lot. He's not someone who's really going to put up that massive kind of 11-12 elimination win that we typically see, but he's very consistently going to get 3 or 4 and get himself into the top 5. Then all of a sudden he'll get another 2 or 3 and get into the top 10. He very rarely ever has just a straight up bad game, which is something to be said in solos.
And you know, sorry, I just get so excited to see Stretch on here. You know what I'm saying, Kelly?
I was actually just about to talk about Stretch.
I'm with same minds right here. You know, Stretch coming into all the way 4th place. We were wondering where Stretch was in Heat 1, and he competed in Heat 2 and got up to the top 20 in that one. And here is Stretch again. And Stretch is one of those players that he squeaked on in for the FNCS Solos qualifiers, and he was able to do really well. And that is the story here. I mean, and I have to say something here. I know we just took a look at the top 20, Kelly, but your boy, Asian Jeff, at 100th place there. So he's holding it tight. I mean, because it's going to be a lot. Right now, he's at 235 points right now, and that is the threshold. So it's going to be very, very close to see if he can continue, to see if Asian Jeff continues in the grand finals. I mean, I hope so, just for you, Kelly.
A few other names really close to the 100 mark. We have Mr. Savage at 117th. We have Commandment at 115th. Wavy's at 104. So this last game here, chat, which will be starting in just a moment, is going to be really intense. This is really where it all comes down to, of course. But going back to Stretch, talking of consistency, out of the 5, or he's played 6 matches. Out of 5 of those, he's placed top 7. How are you able to do that confidently, Sundown? And I know we always say about passive playing, but he is able to do it in a way that is above the rest.
It's about being able to execute on your strategy and knowing when you're kind of forced to go and then being set up for success in that moment. So Stretch in particular, what he does is he kind of will get an isolated tarp on either the mid ground or a low ground area where there's not too much congestion, and then get to a spot where he has enough utility to go force a key fight and then use that, whatever he refreshes, whatever kind of siphon and mats he gets off of that, to then move to the next stage of the game. And he does that more consistently than a lot of other players. The problem is, if he's not able to kind of get those key eliminations rolling, as we saw in the FNCS NA East finals, it's really tough to then get your game plan going because you spend kind of your entire early and mid game setting up for this one key opportunity where you have to execute. And then if you miss, and then you miss again, and you miss in a 3rd game, even if you hit in the 4th and 5th and the 6th, you're not going to be able to actually get the points to challenge towards the top. However, when you get it all rolling and you're super consistent, as we've seen today, it ends up in a top 5 performance.
Well, speaking of consistency, Avery, who's been in the top 5 doing really well, has 4 victory royales, might possibly be the most victory royales we've seen in the semifinals here for the DreamHack this season. But it looks like we are ready to jump into the final game of the semifinals, chat. Don't go anywhere because the action is starting now.
Thank you so much, Kelly. And as she just said, this is the final game we will be covering with 1,500 players. It'll boil down to 100 right after this. But also, don't forget that there are multiple lobbies, so other players will also be wrapping up their last games. And we're going to be talking a lot about the line and what is the line, where is the line at, and what do players need to do to get above it. Because first and 100th all get the same prize today, and that's a ticket to that final And currently going into the last game with the queues closing in just 3 minutes, Karsten CBC owns 100th place with 246 points. So Dubs just north of that loading into this one. However, Karsten has played all 10 of his games, so he's going to drop out as tons of players are dropping straight into the authority. And Spratty Fishy on 206 needs to not have his tournament ended here. Instead, going to end Drizzy's tournament and get gifted basically the freest elimination I've seen in a hot minute.
Woo! And we're talking about other players on the outside looking in. We're talking about some of the NRG boys of Unknown and Edgy sitting at 230 points. So there are no doubt. And look at Spratty Fishy starting off hot, knowing that he has to get hot to compete and get that ticket into the grand finals here, Sundown. Some nice AR shots. He got the freebie right out the rip. He got another one, and he has his eyes set on maybe a third possible elimination right in the opening moments of these final games.
And that's what it's all about, just closing out in the final moments. Can you clutch up? Because if you're not, somebody else will. Trying to use that quick little porta potty for a little repositioning there. Make sure you always flush afterward. Maintain that good hygiene. But right now, Joker looking to not be on the end of a bad joke, looking to find a little bit of room, but Spratty just trying to connect, lining up the hunting rifle shot. Little does he know, even a single AR will take the player over. And also, people are dropping like absolute hotcakes, almost a fifth of the lobby down, 82 players remaining. Spratty trying to make it 81, but Joker has super low HP here.
Other players on the outside, Booga on the outside, Zayt on the outside. So many players on the outside, furious, notable names, but Joker gets notably ousted out, gets pulled right off the stage right there by Spratty, and Spratty is making a big show in here on the main stage here in the DreamHack Open. Hey, if you're on the show, if you're on the big stage, your clout goes up, and that is what it's all about, I suppose. But Dustin now has a long way to go to get up here. He's gonna need something to happen here, a big pop-off game. A lot of these players have the ability to pop off, and Dustin is trying to do his best. Oh no, down goes Straw Hat Spy. Straw Hat almost running, no doubt, maybe ending their day here at the DreamHack Open here in the semifinals. But man, you know what's kind of crazy here, Sundown, is a lot of players, you know, we talked about doing what you do best and landing the same condition POI, your scavenge routes. We've been talking about throughout the entire broadcast. But when it gets down to the 9th and 10th game of your run, sometimes you get a little crazy, as we see Nanolight actually picking up an elimination on Toos. So that's going to be a big elim as two titans of the Fortnite scene go back-to-back, and Nanolight picked up another one. So Nanolight getting revving up right here as well, as so is Spratty. But as I was saying is that so many people start to get more aggressive and aggro and just go on in and do craziness, and you have to be careful of those players. They may be out of the running, but they're still here to get some reps in, so to speak. And the players that are in contention for the top 100 could run into an aggro player and all of a sudden get eliminated. As we're taking a look at this replay here, Asian Jeff and Epic Whale going ham, with Epic Whale getting the victory at the end versus Asian Jeff. I'm sorry, Kelly. I know you're back there in the studio. I'm sorry to say that Asian Jeff did not get that victory royale. That would have been big for him because he's on the bubble.
I think it's still big either way, getting up towards the end there and going in what ended up being, I think, was ultimately a top 2 performance. If Epic Whale ends up taking him out there, you can see make it into the top 5 and converting with that entire Epic loadout. So that's really coming in clutch at the end. But something Epic Whale does do absurdly well is close out matches, whether it's from the top down there. And he does just take out Asian Jeff in the 50-50 at the end. The Spratty Fishy currently trying to get some harassment onto Trevin. Trevin looking a little lost there. Not sure what was going on.
What I do know, he did get the 5 point right there, and Spratty is heating up. And speaking of a player that needs to heat up as well as Unknown, we haven't seen this bush tactic. It did work out for them as well. Was able to get some nice surprise shots. It looks like he already didn't get anyone yet, but he's setting the trap up. He already broke all the rocks. So already that is a sign, Sundown, that somebody already was there. So it's going to be very interesting how Unknown was able to do this. He was trying to third-party Young Calc, who's already in the top 100, who has to sustain that spot. But Unknown now has some work to do to get up there. He's one of the NRG boys, recently moving into the NRG house. He had a great showing in the heats, was vibing out. In Heat 2, Shio and Monster talked about how sometimes a change of scenery is all you need. Moving into the content house, enjoying those DC vibes, sitting on this beautiful house near that dock. The fresh air may be doing Unknown well, as him and the NRG boys have been showing out here throughout the entire DreamHack Open. But this is a very interesting tactic here from Unknown. We haven't really seen on a major broadcast on Down. You know what I mean? He's being patient. He's not aggro running out. And as you can see, there's only 56 people left in this lobby. So he's going to be very, very close to racking up placement points. And that's going to be in his benefit.
This is what it's all about, just maximizing your opportunity to pick up points, setting it up, getting to a point where not only can you manufacture eliminations, but you're able to get these placement points. Is now on board here with Virus. 226, trying to get some pressure onto Max right now. You can see again, has that charge shotgun. You want to end up not in kind of this awkward situation, but where you can get a quick little edit onto him, and that's going to be the case there. As Virus hits a huge shot onto Max, that's going to signal a little bit of aggression coming out, trying to find where he's rotating through. Can't necessarily keep a good beat on him. Max doing a good job at keeping distance, but also looks like he's out of builds as he hops in the bush and hits Virus back with a shot to even the playing field just a little bit right now. As you can see, both of them going to back off, pop whatever heals and minis they have. Virus, a little bit of more effective HP, and hits the huge charge shot there. 231, keeps his tournament hopes alive there, and Max is going to see himself out.
He definitely needed that one. That was big time, and he's going to have now the ability to take this island to himself, maybe dip on down to the yacht, and have some great opportunities to pick up floppers as he wants to. This is the yacht's a nice place to actually farm metal as well. So as you see, that is where he's going to go. There is a big buildup that's already happened, but it looks like the rotation already happened. So Virus on the bubble, trying to get inside the grand finals, which is going to happen very shortly, right after this semifinals. So a long road ahead still for all our competitors. We talked about the grueliness of the FNCS solos that happened, that gauntlet, and now Dubs here, who was just a minute ago on the outside of the bubble. Now he's in the running, still has work to do. Of course, Dubs and Mega are competing here today in the DreamHack Open. They go way back, but they're here to solidify their placement here in the solo scene, looking for that nice resume addition having DreamHack. I like how the FaZe boys are represented here today, and I love all the different organizations. It was interesting to see NRG, so many of them competing, only Ronaldo not competing out of those boys, but it'd be good for Dubs to get a dub here, no pun intended, you know what I mean? It'd be a nice set into going into that next season here for Fortnite.
I mean, I don't think anybody will ever complain about getting a dub, right? So we're on board here with Enterprise, Queasy, one of our EU players, trying to catch into that top 100 threshold again. 206 just on the outside looking in. So it was right around 250 is the line we're looking at for that top 100. So keep an eye on those points on the left-hand side. That's what's in the yellow. He's looking for a potential hunting rifle shot. You see Boysa down on the side. If you can catch him farming out in the open, this could potentially be it. You see him stepping out, trying to line up the shot. He jumps in the air, but not going to connect there, and that'll give off the advantage. So immediately going to disengage back over the side, break line of sight, make sure he can't return fire.
We have been seeing some nice shots here, the hunting rifle. You're standing still. That's going to be a green light for you to get introduced. And Queasy now a little bit uneasy as Outcast Leroy. Wow. The reach of that, man. So, hey, sometimes I'm surprised by the charge shotgun's reach. I don't know what that was, but all of a sudden he was exploded and just turned into that loot. As we're going back to Busa. Busa is 191 and has a way to go here. So hopefully Busa can go ahead and get that going. As now we're down to about 51 competitors and the placement points are about to happen. Here at DreamHack, every point matters. All the way until you get to the top 3. That's when the points are multiplied by a lot. But so far, the eliminations, you get 5 + 1, that's 6 points. And that's what Busa is trying to do here against Royal Chains. Gets a nice hit here, gets him down the blue, a little mini ambush as Royal Chains was not paying attention to surroundings. And Busa is trying to get right in here. Doesn't have any crash pads, but he's going to go the old school way of trying to pickaxe his way right through. Oh, but then he gets hit. Now he has to kind of retreat a little bit. Can Royal Chains capitalize? Royal Chains does have a crash pad. Didn't really get that one cleanly in. And now Royal does get hit really hard, and Royal has to retreat. Boy's not trying to go in, buy his way into another zone. Yes, there it is. So close. They were going back and forth. The tide right there, but that's a big time 6 points right there for Boisa.
It's the battle of the TTV, but Boisa coming out on top there with all of the elimination points. Gonna end the run there of Royal Change. The ambush not necessarily paying off, and towards the outside there, you really have to be sure if you're gonna pull that trigger, because I mean, you're only gonna get that one chance and one opportunity. And if you're gonna seize the moment, you have to do it right then and right now. Unfortunately, he's gonna let that one slip.
He's gonna have a lot of work to do with the 201 points. Knowing that where we need to be, definitely a Victory Royale would get him in the running. And I always say, you know, all these competitors, they have it in them. They have the ability to pop off, but it's really hard to pop off in these late games, considering that there's so much that could happen, especially getting into your 8th, 9th, and 10th game. So many people may be W keen. We've seen that Spratty picks up another elim, and this is where Unknown was. So it'd be interesting to know, where did he go? Is he still hanging out in the bushes? There is some loot right there in the bush. It may be Unknown, as you can see that blue arrow and notebook. You may have to be careful here. Yeah, there's some shots in, some big time shots. You got to be careful there. Now we're going to switch over to another fight that's escalating with Evasion. Evasion here is going to have to change the layer right now, but here it comes, a knock on the door, and he answers it with 111 tag. Now this is the opportunity. It's a matter of moments here. Nice. The defense was there with the ramp, but it was just too much of evasion right there, and he was able to get that 5 points.
That's what it's all about. And again, ticking over towards the top. We talk about it every single one of those interactions, every point mattering as we're into the top 50 as well. So you get the 5 from the elimination, you get the 1 for the extra placement. 270 is going to push him into that top 100, which again is the goal. That's what it's all about. It's not first, it's not 50th, it's not an extra 20, it's just making it into that top 100. And again, we're going to keep an eye on where that line is, and currently 252. So right now that elim, the 270, is pushing him much farther ahead. But as we've seen with every DreamHack, every FNCS, every Cash Cup, that line always seems to creep up just a couple more points than it usually does. And right now Barros is in danger of having his tournament ended here.
Barros is now fighting in the storm, but he picked up the 50 siphon. Has one foe nearby, and it looks like that person now is going to look back a little bit. He's going to have that med kit just to kind of heal himself back up, and of course use the water to be able to have faster mobility. But we're taking a look at the zone, as now it's going to be pushing further north of here. It's going to be interesting to see where it ends up. It's going to maybe I think we had a zone here on this, maybe on the broadcast we had one a little bit more south, but this is our first opportunity to see. Now Dirty Docks is out of the play, but this is going to be a very clean zone, not too crazy mountains. But the only danger thing here, Sundown, is all the water that presents itself. You're going to see a lot of people using rotations of the rivers, maybe some lakes, but of course there's no waterfalls that these guys are used to.
You can see Byros popping the med kit. However, incredibly vulnerable situation. All it takes is for Stefan to turn and look, but he's not going to see him in there in the storm, providing enough of a barrier. However, Byros is aware of him, and Leroy just going down that zip line, firing shots away, making sure he's connecting on all of those. That's one of the benefits of rotating along that East Coast. You do have the zip lines going up and down.
Oh, you hear the music?
Right now. Oh, the Marauders coming in again. We talk about them being able to put the pressure, particularly when you're kind of on the sides of these mountains. It's so hard to close the gap, and Byros is going to be the benefactor of them.
Yeah, and it takes that Boisa right there, Boisa going down, and that may be the end of that run right there for the DreamHack Open. You did really well. You got very close to, no doubt, build on top of this. No pun intended. Build on your success here and know that you at least made it to the top 1,500, which is nothing to sneeze at, as Byros right now with a lot of utility. He can make his way up, move around with that 10, but he has to deal with some Marauders. And who knows, maybe he picks up some stinks, but I don't think he's going to use that, because we see that sometimes having these crash pads are going to be great in game and as well for picking away some kind of mid-game fights.
And that's what it's really all about, is using the rotation, maximizing the efficiency. And you can see even dropping in, making sure he's getting the chug splashes. He needed those shields, doesn't want to leave anything behind. And right now, again, we talked about making it into that top 100. Byros can't go down here. He's getting placement points. He's closing in on that line. If he doesn't eliminate anybody and just hangs around now into the top 10, he'll have enough points to make it as of now, but he'll need to press just a little bit more. So he knows he's under pressure here. The question is, can he clutch up in the final opportunity? Again, if you are just joining us, welcome. We're nearing the final moments here of the NA East portion of the DreamHack Open featuring Fortnite. You can see here right now, top 100 players will advance to the final, which is right after us. That'll be casted by Showager, Monster D-Face, and of course, Kelly Link as our host right now. We're here in that last game. My name's Sundown, joined by Sancho West, bringing you all the action. It has been such a crazy semifinal, and I don't think it's going to slow down as we get to the end.
We're never going to slow down. Just like the new vehicles in the Fortnite public scene, they're going to keep revving up the action, and we have a little mini congestion right here as zone does move up. This is the fourth full zone that's going to happen, and ooh, down goes Fane, and Byros is cooking up right now, finishing 90th in the Booga Throwback Cup back in the day, a while ago. So now Byros is no stranger to the competitive scene and no stranger to what he's doing right now, but he has some work to do, considering he has to get about 50 points or so to secure his place. But that, hey, Sundown, all that is just a victory royale. I know that's easier said than done, but we're taking a look at the zone. It's being split down the center by a river, and there's not going to be a major mountain. And I keep bringing that up because it was a big factor earlier in our DreamHack Open. We had the mountain just destroy the entire lobby. And we haven't seen the shockwave launcher from Kit in play or Jules Grappler. So whoever walked out of authority of that was going to have a good chance to win. And now we have a nice little calm right now as Leroy, who did pick up some elims on the broadcast, is sent out by Zum, who finished #1 in I believe in Heat 2. So Zum is still around. Be interesting to see if he's going to be able to compete in the grand finals. And Spritey Fishy was a little bit on the authority. Can Tencel take out Spritey Fishy, who starts with a hot start? Both going at it right here as we see in the distance. XZ Shark has a nice dominant position on that mountain. It's the highest point of this entire section. Spratty pushing in Tencel. This is going to be pretty big. Only Spratty is in contention for the top 100. Tencel is so far away, but if Tencel could get a victory royale, he could get his way in. Already has 2 eliminations. You're taking a look at the bottom right as well, as everyone's kind of spread out in the circles here. There's some nice defense from Tencel as the compact SMG just cannot find any of the hits that Spratty wants that he's been using. Gonna use the crash pad to get right in, and Spratty gets taken out by Tencel with a nice crash pad play. And Spratty, who started off so hot at the opening moments, gets eliminated by Tencel. Drop him a follow, go over there, drop him a big time dog on Twitch. Yeah, I like that. Hey, if you're gonna promote yourself, you do it the right way. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying. You got to get it done in game, and statistics have shown going in, you're going to drive people there. Like, I always check them out, toss them a follow. However, 99.9% of the time you guys aren't streaming. Come on. If you're going to have Twitch in your name, at least be live. I want to chuck you a follow. I want to go check the channel out. I want to know what content you got going on. Or if I hit a sick clip against you, I want to see that reaction. Come on. I got to get some content too. How often do I get to post anything on Twitter? But you can see now Tencel getting a good rotation out on that low pad there. You can see Dubs also up on the side. Again, we're talking about how tall do you have to be to ride the ride. It was 252 going in, which means Unknown is just on the inside, but that bubble could be popped if he's not able to secure any additional placement points here. And honestly, we're seeing a little bit more poise coming out from Unknown, and I like that. It's someone who's playing a little bit safer, recognizing, hey, I don't need to eliminate the entire lobby to make it through here. I just need to be a little bit better than that person who's right next to me.
No doubt, Unknown. This is what we were talking about. He sees XZ Shark up above, but this is what we're talking about. If Unknown could just put it together, Unknown has the tools, the mechanics. He has it all to be a big-time player. He always places so high in different events, just on eliminations alone. And if you could just compare it, marry it with those placement points, he's going to be doing well. And taking a look here, someone that is doing really well is Shark on the top, and we do see Zum as well. our Heat 2 #1 finisher, as Timbers does get sent out. A member of Timbers gets eliminated there on their rotation. And we do see Dubs, who's very close on the bubble as well. Mega was, I believe, in this fight, but I don't see him currently. But FaZe Dubs keeping the vibe alive for the FaZe boys and see if they could continue on into the fight, into the grand finals. So we got XSET represented, FaZe represented, and NRG all represented here. And of course, Awake Byros sitting there on the low ground. And so it all comes down to where this is going to pull and see how XSET Shark is going to handle this. And it does pull, and I believe I'm looking correctly, Unknown and Shark have pulled Circle. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they take it and see if they look for those picks that they could do to get those 5 points easily. Oh, nice. Unknown. Was that a Shark? It was. He caught Shark on his rotation.
He caught Shark with the edit down. He knocked down everything on height, and Shark, being caught, unable to catch himself, will fall all the way down. And Unknown with a cheeky high IQ play, not something he necessarily has seen in his repertoire before, but it's good to see the growth of the young NRG player continuing to push forward, continuing to innovate and improve. But now it's all about the moving zone. Zone 6 is coming through. Again, this is the final opportunity. You have to cement top 100 here. We saw it was just above 250 minimum to make the ride, which means Zum needs to keep making plays. The qualifier number 2 finds Elim there. He's in the bottom right-hand corner of your feed. Unknown a little bit ahead of the pace right now, 268, as we still have 23 players left. Rokane going down. Zum finds another, and he gets another there onto Alipe. All of a sudden, that's 6 and 249 points. Can Zum clutch up and get to the top 100? The qualifier 2 winner in the final moments, trying to make a case for why he's in the top 100 players in NA East right now. But Glizzy Gary up on the high ground, trying to do his best Joey Chestnut, but Osu Trey taking away from him with some fantastic and quick builds. But that is a very flimsy structure. Any pressure is going to cause that to topple down. But right now, all eyes are on Zum. There's the short pad with the crash pad added as well to get to the far side of the zone. We're inside the top 20, and we're closing in on the final moments here as he finds another elimination. 260 now as we have our top 15.
Zum is trying to do what 2 others have failed to do. 2 people that were #1 in their heats only failed to advance to the semis, and Zum is well on his way to advancing here to the grand finals. And NRG Unknown is looking at 277. Now he's navigating, recycling pads, and this is going to be a very dangerous player to have in the end game, because this is where the most eliminations happen. We're talking about 20% in zone 7, 24% in zone 9. And if Unknown could put it all together, and Unknown picks up another elimination, 283 here, Sundown. He's starting to rev it up. He's starting to bring in that Rasamir vibes right now, and he's looking to mow down and go back into instinct box fight mode down on the low ground.
Unknown is in your top right. Zum's in your bottom right. 3 elims so far from Unknown, but when he's unlocked in the end game with a decent amount of builds, he can do whatever he wants. Zum, though, still slightly behind the pace, needs to make sure he's above it. Don't forget, it was 252 going into this game. It's only going to crawl upward, which means Zum needs every available point if he wants to make it to the grand final. This is it. It comes down to the final moments here. 13 players remaining, about to be 12 as Unknown Army picks one up. Another player going down there as we have our top 10, and Zum finds Storms there to get it. 271 now for Zum, but will it be enough? He needs to keep climbing upward. 272 as Unknown goes down. Surely we'll be seeing him in the grand finals, but all eyes are on Zum and whether or not he can push forward. Already 40 points out of eliminations. He has 8 going through. He has 57 builds. He has an entire legendary loadout, but no mythics and no rotation. He needs to close this out if he wants to be playing in the grand finals, and right now he is clean above him and the rest of the lobby below him.
Zum is putting some pressure on Glizzy Gary. Gary, of course, trying to retain that mustard belt, as Clean is finally putting some pressure on Zum. That's why he's going to drop down a little bit, as Zum was for a second from height, and Clean still holding on height. Gary down below and gets sent right into the storm. So no doubt Clean has the shockwave launcher, so Zum has to overcome, and Zum picks up another elimination right there in the mid ground. Zum is right now on fire, and he's going to put himself right into the grand finals with a nice strong performance, because he's going to have to keep that momentum going if he qualifies. And oh my goodness, Zum takes out another person. He takes out Virus with the RPG, and it's Zum right now going all the way down low. He's gonna pick up Chris gosh. Oh my goodness, Tom, you are a madman. Stop it. And he does. Clean gets the elimination, and that may be enough to have him qualify. But wow, 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 what a run from Zum.
Somebody once told him the world wasn't gonna roll him there. He puts it all in his own corner. Zum taking it out, but we're gonna have to go to a quick break, and we'll check the leaderboard and see what the top 100 looks like.
Hey everyone, Kelly Link here, and before we get into the Fortnite action, we do have a quick break, and instead of it just being music, I want to see if you guys can guess what I'm drawing from Fortnite. So let's get into it. Did you guess what it is? Well, if you guessed fishing rod, you'd be right. Congratulations. You're so smart. Chat, could you know what it is? Hopefully, because it's a shopping cart. You guys know what that is, maybe. Bam. There we go. Chat, this should have been one of the easier ones because it's a Fortnite chest. Of course, where all of your favorite loot comes from. Can you guess what it is? Well, you should be able to because it's pretty easy. It's a pepper, chat. Come on, of course. All right, guys, those were some of my drawings from Fortnite. Hopefully you were able to guess a few of them. And if you weren't, I don't know, man, I'm sorry. But we have some more Fortnite action coming up real soon. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everyone, to the DreamHack Open featuring Fortnite. I'm your host, Kelly Link, and the two gentlemen casting all the action with Sancho West and Sundown. But the action is over, guys. The semifinals are done. 1,500 players have whittled down to the top 100. We're in about 30 minutes. They will be jumping into game number 1 of the grand finals, where they'll be fighting for their share of the $250,000 prize pool. But first and foremost, we got to talk about that last game. Sancho, just run us through the end game that we got to see there.
It was really crazy. I think the highlight for me, of course, was Zum. He was just, it doesn't matter what layer he was on, mid layer, low layer, high ground. He was just able just to instinctively just work through all those builds, and he almost had the icing on the cake with the victory royale, but that was a big game. I mean, we talked about it during the break. He was able to vault himself definitely in that top 100. So I gotta say, I mean, because the pressure's on when you usually qualify and you're number one in your heat, you kind of how you taper off, and you know the chances of you succeeding in the grand finals. I think the one person was able to get to 10th place. So Zum still has a lot of work, but what a great way to take that momentum into the grand finals if, of course, he qualified.
Yeah, we're quickly tabulating all the scores that we have right now for our top 20 chat, so we'll get to those in just a moment. There are probably still maybe a lobby or two finishing up right now because the lobbies do close at the hour, so we might have one of those lobbies still going on right now. But Sundown, who are you most excited to watch going into the grand finals after you saw them play today?
Well, I think particularly, I don't want to just immediately call out Zum again because that was such a good performance about him. But like, I harp in on momentum and rolling in, particularly in formats where you're playing the semis and the finals in the same day. When you play those two back to back and there's so little time in between it, to go from being on the outside looking in qualifying to then right at the end pushing yourself in. Now you're going to that first game like absolutely 100% like on cloud nine. Like you're ready to go, you're ready to fight. You think nothing can stop you, and if you keep that rolling, that sort of becomes true. But I'm also going to call out one other player because he's someone who we've been seeing over and over again, particularly during the early rounds, but he hasn't really been converting when it comes to the final rounds, and that's Crunchy. And he's not necessarily someone who I was super familiar with before the FNCS, and then he really started coming up and having back-to-back really solid performances. And now it seems like we're almost always seeing him in like every top 20 and top 10, which is surprising to me at least, because I know a lot of these players.
Well, speaking of the top 20, let's take a look right now because it does seem that we have our scores tabulated, chat. Here are the top 20 players that are going to be moving on to the grand finals. And of course, the remaining 80 as well will be the top 100 moving forward. And there he is, Crunchy, up on top with 422 points. And I really do want to speak about consistency here because out of the 7 games that he played, I think he got top 20 in almost every single one of his games. So definitely consistency being key into his first place placement. Nexy gonna be Nexty in second place. Avery's in third. We have Shark in fourth, and then Liquid Stretch in fifth. The reigning champ, will he come back in the grand finals and take a back-to-back win for our DreamHack Open? Sancho, what do you think?
Maybe. I mean, I like it. I mean, he has the most cumulative points across the DreamHack Open. Shout out to One Up Analytics for pointing that one, that he's someone that's been consistent and he had like over 1,000 points. So if he could continue that route, he could be a back-to-back DreamHack champion. I mean, it's totally possible. I like the vibe. I see what you're saying, but I got to give shout outs to some of the people that we don't see on the board. I mean, we saw Unknown as well, make it right, but someone we were talking about at the very beginning, it begins and ends with Booga. Booga right there at number 10, who's been very quiet. We haven't seen him on the broadcast. I'm very excited to see him on the grand final stage here at DreamHack Open.
Ooh, another shout out for someone that barely just made it through. It is Coop, all the way at 94th place. Coop, one of the more consistent players, but he looks like he did make it through. And any other names? Oh, Commandment, he actually made it through in 82nd place. We also have Skittles, Edgy, Asian Jeff, one of my favorites, Unknown, Snazy. Oh, Snazy. Well, look at that. It looks like we really are going to have a bit of a melting pot in our grand finals here. Sundown, when you don't have these region-locked tournaments, how does that shake up the gameplay?
I think it gives the players who are playing out of region a little less stress. Like everyone always talks about like, oh, these out of region placements, like they're coming for NA East. Well, one, a lot of the Europeans connect really well to NA East, some surprisingly well, Benji. But particularly like there's nothing to really hold you back. There's no pressure of, oh, I have to perform. Like even getting into that top 100 is a huge bonus. So sometimes playing kind of without the ankle weights of the expectations allow you to push forward just a little bit more. And I also have to say, when we talk about just how strong this top 100 is, looking at some of the people who are on the outside looking in, they ended up missing it by just 2 points, and he would have ended up owning the tiebreaker there. Going down the last game, 19th with no eliminations. Dubs, who was in the final game that we saw there, made it to the end game, didn't convert. He was 4 points on the outside looking in. So again, some top players who may or may not necessarily be the strongest in solos, but still not going to be able to find yet another final. So
I gotta say real quick, we got to look out for Mr. 100. Mr. 100 could be the one that wins a championship. So that's what I'm looking for as well in grand finals. The ones just barely getting in could be a big factor. As long as you're in the dance, you got a chance.
And if your favorite player didn't make it into the top 100, do not fret, chat, because we're going to be having 3 region tournaments for the DreamHack Open every month. And Europe's is starting tomorrow, so maybe you'll see your favorite player there during our Open qualifiers, and maybe we'll actually see you as well. So make sure to sign up and to hang out and check it out with us. That is going to be tomorrow for Europe. But everyone, it's all about the grand finals. We have gone from tens of thousands of players down to the final 100, and we'll be starting that in about 30 minutes. So do not go anywhere, chat. We do have a bit of a break, but when we come back, it's going to be the grand finals for the North American East region.